The most overlooked nutrient is fiber. Seriously, people don't even think about fiber as much as they should. And I would argue that if there was one nutrient that people are missing out on that would absolutely transform their diet and their body and their energy levels, then it is fiber. I'm getting chills right now. I'm getting chills because fiber is so damn important. You need to consume it. So let's talk about why. What is fiber? First of all, fiber is a connected string of carbohydrates, but the difference of this is that our body can't break the bonds in between. So what that means is that it pretty much runs through us and does a couple things. So there's two different types of fiber. Number one is what we mostly think of fiber, that's called insoluble fiber. So this adds the bulk to our poop. But that's not its only function. Its other function is to regulate the speed at which we absorb other nutrients and namely carbohydrates. So the difference between eating a candy bar and, let's even make it more simple. The difference between eating a Smarties, remember those candies like the Smarties? Not very smart to eat, ironically, but the Smarties, and something like a vegetable, or let me think of something, what's higher, like a whole grain bread, you know? Something that is higher in carbohydrates than just a vegetable, right? So, and we could even compare white bread, and white bread is the equivalent of that Smartie. So what happens is when we eat that white bread or that Smartie, we eat it, our body breaks down the bonds between it, breaks it down into small units of sugars, and then absorbs it very rapidly. Now, having that fiber in there plays off of the principle of osmosis, and this may be something you learned in biology a long time ago. It's a little bit complicated. I'm gonna make it simple. Let's say we have a cup, okay? And in that cup, you put a semi-permeable membrane. Semi-permeable meaning some things can pass through, mainly small particles and water, and then the bigger particles can't pass through. So we put that semi-permeable membrane right in the middle, and on two sides we have water and some kind of bigger molecule. So for our example, this is fiber, and that's the one that's inside of our gastrointestinal tract, right? So inside of our intestines. So that presence of the fiber is gonna keep water on that side of the semi-permeable membrane, and also keep small particles over there, because it's all based on concentration. So the more concentration of those bigger particles means that more water has to be on that side and more of those small particles. So the other side of that would be our blood, okay? So when the carbohydrates are trying to be absorbed, they have to go slower because there's fiber on that side. It's holding it back. It's like, no, don't leave me, don't leave me, don't leave me. But then eventually carbohydrates do get in. So if you've ever heard of something called glycemic index, that is when we consume a food. Each food has a different glycemic index, and as it gets absorbed into our blood, it raises our blood sugar a certain amount at a certain speed. If you could literally graph it out how it looks. So eating something that's very sugary, or like the Smarties or the white bread, spikes it, boom, up, and then there's another curve, and it's the insulin release, how much insulin is released. And insulin is what your cells need to bring the carbohydrates from the blood into the cells so that it can actually be used. So as the insulin is released, it releases at a relative to how the sugar is absorbed into the blood, right? So if it's a high spike, then the insulin's being released in a high spike, just very slightly later, okay? So insulin releases, huge spike in insulin, and then because all of that sugar is being sucked into the cells from so much insulin being present, drops it back down really quickly. That's why when we eat sugar, when we eat white breads, that we get really, really amped up, we get really energized, and then we crash. Now, if we eat something that's super fibrous, like a whole grain bread, right? What's gonna happen is that curve is gonna be more shallow and more steady across time. So we're gonna eat the bread, and then it's gonna absorb carbohydrates, the fiber's holding it back. It's taking a long time, and then it's gonna slowly and gently come back down, and that's when we're ready to eat again. And same with the insulin, right? So the insulin realizes some carbohydrates are being absorbed into the blood. Okay, it's slowly rising. Okay, it's sustained, and then it's dropping back down after all those carbohydrates have been absorbed, and your blood is back at euglycemia, which means just a normal level of blood sugar, what your body needs. Fiber. Fiber is the key to the energy levels. Your energy levels are gonna follow that glycemic index, all right? So if we have a high spike, we're gonna be really energized, and then we're gonna crash. Or we're going to have a nice steady rise in energy, be energized throughout the day, and then we're gonna come back down slowly. Now the second type of fiber is called insoluble fiber. Is soluble fiber. I already talked about insoluble fiber. Soluble fiber is exactly what it sounds like, soluble. It's dissolvable in water. So this is more fiber that you would get. You can get these from whole grains. Like if you've ever made oatmeal, this is a really good way to look at it. If you ever made oatmeal and it gets like kind of sticky, right? That's kind of like what the soluble fiber is like. If you've ever taken chia seeds, put them in water and stirred them up and just let them sit there for a couple hours or maybe overnight, and they get jelly, that's soluble fiber, right? So what that does is, I say it always, it acts like Spider-Man, okay? Soluble fiber is Spider-Man, and if Spider-Man is going down this tube, right? Maybe he's going through the sewers, and as he's going down, he's getting everything. It's like, he's getting all the things on the side of your lumen, the side of the sewer as he's going down, and he's just collecting it, and he's bringing it in, he's collecting all of it. And then when he gets to the end of your intestines, right, he's cleared it all out. It's all clean in there, right? So now it's functioning better, it's healthier. That's what soluble fiber is. So having both of them in your diet, super, super important. I know this video was extremely ridiculous, but fiber is so important, and if there's anything you can do is increase your fiber in the day, and it's very simple how to do it. All you gotta do is add in vegetables. Anytime I make a meat or eggs, anything I'm making, I'm always adding vegetables, whether it's a separate side, like potatoes. I'll make some potatoes and put them on the side, or if I'm making eggs, I saute all the vegetables, and then I crack the eggs into the pan. So then it's like an omelet, but it's like a scrambled omelet. I just don't like the shape of the omelet. It's just weird to me. I don't know. So it's like scrambled eggs, but it's got vegetables all in it. So one thing that I do is I eat pancakes every single day. Every single day. But I'm healthy because I eat it with a large portion of eggs. It has a ton of fiber. So the amount of fiber, not 100%, but does slightly offset the glycemic index. So normal chocolate chip pancakes with syrup is gonna be like, that's like, if you've ever ridden the Fahrenheit 451 at Hershey Park, it's like that. Straight up, straight down. It's unreal the amount of, how high that glycemic index is. But I'm adding in so many vegetables and stuff that maybe I'm taking it down to like here, you know? Maybe it's about half. Maybe it's about half. It's like the Scooby-Doo ride that used to be at King's Dominion. If you know what that is, if you don't, then just ignore me or just Google it. So it's much more gentle. It's a kids roller coaster. That's what it is. It's much more kids friendly roller coaster. All right. So that's my rant about fiber. If you have any questions about it, feel free to DM me on Instagram. Comment below any thoughts that you have on fiber. Are you getting enough? Do you need more? Do you need strategies to get more? I can make an entire video about strategies to get more fiber into your diet. If this video opened your eyes to what fiber is like, if you like me, if you like my personality, like it, share this with a friend. Share this with one friend, help somebody out for the day. It helps me out as well. Go below, subscribe, hit the little bell so you don't miss any other videos. Have a good one. I'll see you later.